Welcome back. Today I want to talk about modeling software, and I know that seems outside what I normally do on this channel, but I do create a lot of woodworking projects, and usually I sketch those out by hand, but occasionally I like to see it on screen. And I would love to have a 3D modeling program where I could just have boards there on the screen, boards of different dimensions, standard dimensions that you can buy at the store, and you could change the length of those boards and put them together and rotate the view so you could see all the different angles of what it is you're building without having to manually sketch on paper multiple views, which can be difficult for most of us. Now, a lot of the channels that I follow where I look at DIY projects or woodworking, they use SketchUp. So I tried that one first, but it turns out that almost all the features are in the paid version, and the free version I couldn't even find on their website. I had to do a little bit of digging to find the free version, and I couldn't do almost anything with it. Not only did it seem really difficult to use, but I think a bunch of the features were missing. So I began a long search. And almost all the ones that I could find that were tailored to woodworking or project development or blueprint making, that sort of thing, they're all for pay. And since I don't do this as a job, this is a hobby, and I'm going to make maybe 3 or 4 or sometimes 8 or 10 designs a year, it didn't feel cost effective for me to pay out hundreds of dollars for a fancy piece of software that I would only use occasionally, or the subscription-based ones where you pay $20 a month or $30 a month, and that builds up pretty fast, and I never know which month it is that I'm going to need that software. The one that I ended up settling on was Blender, and it's not really made for this, but as you can see, I was able to mock up a coffee table that I planned to build, and it's a little farmhouse coffee table, and you can easily rotate the views. Now, it wasn't easy to learn how to use, and I still don't know how to use it very well. For example, these boards here that are going to have 45-degree angle cuts at the ends of them, I didn't know how to make that 45-degree bevel at the end of that board. I just embedded it in the other boards, so it looks like I made those 45-degree cuts. And here is that same section pulled out from the rest of the thing, so you can see that these are 90-degree cuts. In real life, I had to do 45-degree cuts, but this is what I came up with. And I was able to find out how to make a text list so that I could list the materials that I was going to need. You can look at the bottom of the project, you can look inside, you can zoom in, you can select individual boards, and it turned out to be really handy for me. Over here at the right are just some of the pieces that I pulled out of the view so that I could see each piece a little bit more clearly as I was about to start building this coffee table. Another project that I was able to use that for was a mobile clamp rack. And here again, I wasn't able to figure out how to do the beveled cuts on the ends of these boards that are not at a right angle at the bottom. I just embedded them, moved the board down into where it's buried into that board. Whereas I knew in real life, I would cut it off at that angle or approximately that angle. And here at the top too, I wanted to cut these boards off at at an angle that would match that shelf, but I didn't know how to do that in the program and still don't. I also couldn't figure out how to change the color of the boards, so they're all gray here. You may have noticed in the coffee table, some of them were a different color because I did figure it out at one time, but then when I went back, I couldn't figure out how to do it again. But it still works. And it is completely free. It's open source software, and it's not made for this. It's made for, like I said, 3D modeling or computer generated content. The examples on their website look like animated shows or videos, but I'm able to use it for still things like this. Another project was this end table, which was kind of based on the coffee table design. And again, it was really handy for that. And there is the function, as you see here, which shows the top view, the side view, the end view. I don't remember how to get to that or how to get out of it. I would have to go look that up again, but it can be a handy feature. But those 3 views are views that I could draw myself on a sketch pad or in a notebook. It's the 3D view and the ability to just swing it around or to select individual boards and change their length or width or height that has come in really handy for me. And I had some metal lockers that I wanted to enclose in a little wooden cart that I would add wheels onto later, and I was able to use it for that as well, even showing the little tabs that I would have at the bottom that would keep the lockers from sliding out of this cart, and even this little tiny table that I built. And I finally figured out how to scale each piece using a menu over here at the side so that the boards, match up scaled to each other. And eventually I created a template so whenever I open the program, it opens with a few of the basic boards that I use all the time, like 3/4 inch plywood, 1x2s, 1x3s, 2x4s, 2x6s, for example. And here again, I used a little cylinder feature to put these dowels in the edge where I would connect the boards. I actually ended up not using dowels in the project and just used glue. But anyway, Blender has turned out to be really helpful for me. So if you've been looking for 3D modeling software for projects like this or to create animations, what this program was intended for, I would give Blender a try. I'll have a link in the description. It's not sponsored. It's just what I found that's been useful for me. I will say that the learning curve was fairly steep compared to many other pieces of software that I've used, but it was the easiest one of all of these that I tried. And I only found 1 or 2 programs that were specifically made for woodworking, but they were all for a fee. And I would love to try them out because you can show different wood grains and colors of woods, and they have specific sizes already built into the programs. But as far as I can tell, none of those were open source. They were all for profit. So let me know if you found something better, or let me know if this helps you. Obviously, this is not a tutorial or how to use the program because I barely know how to use it. And there are about 10,000 options in these menus and other modules around the side of the screen that I have no idea what they do. And in fact, sometimes when I click on one by accident, I don't know how to get back to what I was doing. But again, the software was intended for much more complex projects than this. Thank you for spending your time here. I'll see you next time.